The homepage will eventually be the place where a user can design and build their next sweet mixtape. But in addition to creating new tapes, users will also be able to browse other people's creations. Let's make a second page for that. How? By adding a second controller. Public function, how about browse? The name doesn't really matter. And to be responsible, I'll add a response return type. Above this, we need our route. This will look exactly the same, except set the URL to /browse. Inside the method, what do we always return from a controller? That's right, a response object. Return a new response with a short message to start. Let's try it. If we refresh the homepage, nothing changes. But if we go to /browse, we're crushing it. A second page in under a minute. On this page, we'll eventually list mixtapes from other users. To help find something we like, I want users to also be able to browse by genre. For example, if I go to /browse/death metal, that would show me all the death metal vinyl mixtapes. Hardcore. Of course, if we try this URL right now, it doesn't work. No route found. No matching routes were found for this URL, so it shows us a 404 page. By the way, what you're seeing is Symfony's fancy exception page because we're currently developing. It gives us tons of details whenever something goes wrong. When you eventually deploy to production, you can design a different error page that your users would see. Anyways, the simplest way to make this URL work is just to change the URL to /browse/death metal. But not super flexible, right? We would need one route for every genre, which could be hundreds. And also, we just killed the /browse URL. It now 404s. What we really want is a route that matches /browse/anything. And we can do that with a wildcard. Replace the hard-coded death metal with open curly, close curly, and inside slug. Slug is just a technical word for a URL-safe name. Really, we could have put anything inside the curly braces, like curly brace genre or curly brace cool music category. It makes no difference. But whatever we put inside this wildcard, we are then allowed to have an argument with that same name, $slug. Yep, if we go to /browse/death metal, it will match this route and pass the string death metal to that argument. The matching is done by name. Curly brace slug connects to $slug. To see if it's working, let's return a different response. Genre, then the slug. Testing time. Head back to /browse/death metal. And yes! Try /browse/emo. And yeah, I'm that much closer to my dashboard confessional mixtape. Oh, and it's optional, but you can add a string type to the slug argument. That doesn't change anything, it's just a nice way to program. The slug was already always going to be a string. A bit later, we'll learn how you could turn a number wildcard, like the number 5, into an integer if you want to. Let's make this page a bit fancier. Instead of printing out the slug exactly, let's convert it to a title. Say title equals strReplace, and replace any dashes with spaces. Then, down here, use title in the response. In a future tutorial, we're going to query the database for these genres. But for right now, we can at least make it look nicer. If we try it, emo doesn't look any different. But death metal does. But I want more fancy. Add another line with title equals, then type U and autocomplete a function that's literally called U. We don't use many functions from Symfony, but this is a rare example. This comes from a Symfony library called Symfony/string. As I mentioned, Symfony is many different libraries, also called components, and we're going to leverage those libraries all the time. This one helps you make string transformations, and it happens to already be installed. Move the str replace to the first argument of u. This function returns an object that we can then do string operations on. One method is called title. Say arrow title true to convert all words to title case. Now when we try it, sweet! It uppercases the letters. The string component isn't particularly important. I just want you to see how we can already leverage parts of Symfony to get our job done. Okay, one last challenge. Going to /browse/emo or /browse/death metal works. But just going to /browse does not work. It's broken. A wildcard can match anything, but by default, a wildcard is required. We have to go to /browse/something. Can we make a wildcard optional? Absolutely. And it's delightfully simple. Make the corresponding argument optional. As soon as we do that, it tells Symfony's routing layer that the slug does not need to be in the URL. So when we refresh, it works. Though that's not a great message for the page. Let's see. If there's a slug, then set the title the way we were. Else, set title to all genres. Oh, and move the genre colon up here so that down in the response, we can just pass title. Try that. On /browse, all genres. On /browse/emo, genre emo. Next, putting text like this into a controller isn't very clean or scalable, especially if we start including HTML. Nope, we need to render a template. To do that, we're going to install our first third-party package and witness the massively important Symfony recipe system in action.